big you are.
Please. I'm sorry, Tony.
Keep your hands off of me. You.
Guys.
Fat boy.
Please. Joe, please. Folks, I'm sorry you had to see that.
Why?
It's not right. Tamari, thank you for coming on. I've seen Tamari discuss 9/11 probably more than anyone else, and he knows a lot of aspects on what happened on 9/11, and I know you have your own theories on it, of what happened. And also we have John Mullihan, who is our resident intellectual genius who just studies just about everything and anything out there, and he knows quite a bit about that. I want to start off first, Tamari, your theory, what happened 9/11? What was 9/11 to you?
To me, 9/11 was a false flag operation. It's nothing any different than what's been done in past history. We can start with Adolf Hitler planning his own Reichstag fire, and that propelled him to gain public support for a war against his political enemies. Nero did the same thing when he destroyed Rome and burnt Rome and blamed it on the Christians. So it's something that's always been done, and I believe that this current administration is possibly complicit in the attacks of 9/11.
So who would be our Adolf Hitler in this situation? In other words, who would be the heads of this operation in the way you see it?
Sometimes that's a little bit debatable when trying to narrow it down. Do I really think that George Bush is the only individual that's involved in this? No. Do I think Dick Cheney is involved, as far as being the sole person? No, not necessarily, but I think that they're puppets on a stage that are just playing their role, and I think that there's big money that's made off of this particular war by people that are behind the scenes that we just don't see and know.
So who would be the people behind the scenes? The corporate,
Absolutely.
The financiers? Who are we talking about?
Absolutely.
The banks?
Absolutely. Any crime that's actually committed, you always look for the people that have the most to benefit from the situation. At this current state, I believe that Silverstein benefits big time.
So he's the gentleman that bought the Twin Towers, 2 months prior to?
Well, he actually
put a $3.6 billion insurance policy on it?
Yeah. Reportedly, he actually increased that to cover acts against terrorism. So to me, that's fishy. I think if anyone actually had a home and they took out insurance to cover arson, let's say, or flooding, and somehow pipes went off and that actually wound up occurring, I think cops would investigate that, or investigate that individual as that being a possibility. And to me, he wasn't investigated, so I think that caused for a red flag to go up.
What's your take on the planes on that day? Were they planes? I mean, I've heard different theories that the planes, a couple of them were dummy planes, some of them were missiles. Yeah. What is your take on the planes? Were those commercial airplanes in the air with people on them?
Well, it's a lot of false information, in my opinion, that's given off in regards to whether they're Project Bluebeam or all these other wild conspiracy theories about that there weren't even planes that hit it. I think that's false information that's put out there, so that can be easily debunked by people like Popular Mechanics and those other figures out there. But I do believe that planes actually hit the Pentagon and the trade center.
So you're saying that they knew what was going to happen and they let it happen to actually get their agenda move forward quickly. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I see it as a greater possibility that they let it happen rather than a man in a cave orchestrating this whole thing and defeating $1 trillion military system. I believe that is the conspiracy theory, in my opinion.
All right, John, what's your take?
The world is Al-Qaeda. So to go and prove that he's done it, he's admitted it. People that they've traced money back to Al-Qaeda have done it. Other than that, I mean, what are you looking for? Are you looking for,
I'm looking for just some hardcore evidence to say that
I just gave you two or three things.
Listen, anybody can go to the FBI.gov and they can look at what Osama bin Laden is wanted for. If he openly admitted to this, and many other people have admitted to crimes that they have not committed. Hold on,
no. I've asked you on the what theory.
So I'm going to answer this.
I asked you earlier.
No.
What
because so many people.
Constitution are you going to allow them to?
John, let him say his piece, and then you could jump in.
And it makes no sense.
Okay, well, if this makes no sense, are you saying that it's not even possible that criminal elements of our government couldn't have been even possible for them to commit such an act of terrorism?
So hold on.
No, I'm asking you a question.
No.
Yes or no?
No. First of all, and I'll tell you why. First of all, nobody can keep their mouths shut. No. I'm explaining my answer.
They injected syphilis in black men.
Right.
And they kept the secret for 40
years.
Are you kidding me?
They left them.
Are you kidding me?
They didn't treat it.
They kept that secret for 40 years.
They didn't keep it a secret. People knew what was going on in Tuskegee and didn't care.
Right. Okay, here we go.
People didn't care in Tuskegee. They knew what was going on. That was no secret.
Okay, well, what about Operation Northwood? Why don't you tell the public about Operation Northwood?
Which one's Northwood?
That's Cuba under Kennedy, right?
Yeah. When you had L.L. Lemons, the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, he thought back in the 1960s that it would be a good idea to get public support for a war against Cuba.
Right.
One of the means that he said that he could gain that was by crashing hijacked planes into American cities.
Right.
He thought about flying planes over Cuba, having them appear to be shot down. Okay, but if you're aware of that, then how can you make such a statement that our government wouldn't even be capable of wanting to do something like that?
See,
that's my question.
I didn't say that. I said they didn't have the operational capacity to do it, one. Two, the Joint Chiefs discuss scenarios all the time. And if you read Tom Clancy, now we'll put Tom Clancy in the plot, because in Tom Clancy, Debt of Honor, he actually flies, the way that the war against Japan is ended is somebody flying, a Japanese man, flies an aeroplane, JAL flight from Canada, right into the White House. So, are we going to blame Tom Clancy now for 9/11 plots?
Come on, let's not play games.
I mean,
I asked you straight up. I asked you straight up, could it be possible? You said no, and I just showed you our own government was willing. Our government was willing to do such a thing.
There are thousands of scenarios discussed.
Is that not bad enough that they even thought about killing innocent American people?
Do you actually understand how the military operates?
That's irrelevant.
No, it isn't.
Operation Northwood is declassified.
Right.
We have it.
Right.
They thought about doing it.
Think about invading England. Okay. Are they going to do it? The military has plans all the time. That's what military planners do.
You got to be trying to justify.
No, they didn't do it.
I tell you what, let me calm down a little bit.
They didn't do it.
Because we really shouldn't be fighting per se, because I think we're both bothered at the fact that we did lose people that day. So let's just say this. Because that's available for us to see, that bothers me that our government was even thinking about doing such a thing. So when people say that 9/11 conspiracy theorists are kooks, that they would even think that our government would be complicit in the attacks, that offends me, because I only get that idea from my own government.
No. See, again.
So that's all I'm saying.
No, but
that's where I get.
But that's not even logical.
It's not logical. They have it written down
and didn't do it. Didn't even try and do it. What they do is discuss scenarios
all
the time.
But it's my belief.
No. See, police don't come out into this. You're trying to string together a logical argument that they are capable of this because of this. No,
that's called evidence.
That's not evidence. No, it's not.
Okay.
Have you ever said
Jeffrey Dahmer had it written down somewhere 40 years ago, all the things that he wanted to do, and it just so happens that those things happen, I'm going to say Jeffrey Dahmer was possibly capable of that because I saw where he had it written down. That's logical for me
hold on a minute.
To use that as evidence.
James Webb, Webb, isn't it? The new senator over in D.C., in Virginia, wrote a book about somebody molesting 14-year-old girls, a soldier. A lot like his history. Are you suggesting that he had affairs with 14-year-old girls in Vietnam because he wrote about that in a book?
I don't know.
The military continually puts together scenarios and sees how they would deal with them, the results of them, war games.
Well, I think, I know. We had quite a few of them on 9/11 too. Which one happened to be crashing planes into the towers. I find that bothersome. I find it bothersome that the head of FEMA said that we were brought in to do a drill on September the 10th, the day before 9/11.
Well,
I find that a big coincidence.
Well, to be honest, then they're real idiots. No, I think that proves that they're not. Because if you were going to do it, the last thing you would do is have a drill the day before.
Well, then you're tricked, because what you do is you have so many exercises going on at the same time that it actually confuses people.
Well, no.
If you have NORAD conducting drills, let me finish.
No.
If you have NORAD conducting drills of terrorist attacks happening, and it confuses people who would normally do the right thing, and they get confused and they get veered off track, then you can actually cause them to stumble, and you can cause them their efforts to be thwarted. That's all I'm saying. So that's the benefit about having drills done.
Lots of
and that was done on ABC News. They reported on that, just so you know.
Okay.
On November the 7th, 2001.
That there were lots of drills going on. If you're actually going to do this, you don't have lots of drills. If you're saying that they wanted body counts high for maximum impact to get your point across, then you wouldn't have drills. What you would have done was reinforce to everybody, if the fire starts, go up.